Greetings to all fans of good movies. In this video, I will tell you about comedy from 2023 called No Hard Feelings.
Percy? 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 Doesn't anyone anymore?
Film is set in Montauk, a small resort town located in New York State. Early one morning, a tow truck driver arrives at the home of the main character to repossess her car for unpaid taxes. Maddie, a 32-year-old Uber driver, pleads with him, explaining that without her car, she can't pay off the remaining debt. However, Repo Man remains unfazed and does his job. It turns out that these two used to be a couple, and Maddie suddenly ended their relationship for no apparent reason. Realizing that her ex still has feelings for her, the girl quickly comes up with excuses and begins to flirt with him. At this moment, a naked man comes out of her house.
Buongiorno!
Gary, I swear to God, he's my cousin. He's my second cousin.
After this awkward encounter, the Repo Man is completely disillusioned with girl and drives off with her car right in front of her. Montauk's tourist season has just begun, and Maddie also works as a bartender on the pier during this time. On her way to work, she spots her car parked by the side of the road. Desperate, she decides to steal it back. Meanwhile, the unsuspecting tow truck driver is grabbing a bite at a nearby cafe. Girl discreetly lowers the car from the truck but fails to notice the safety chain, which leaves her car still attached to the truck.
What the hell are you doing?
No, 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 no!
In the next scene, Maddie is talking to her lawyer while sitting in a police station. The court has extended her deadline to pay off her debt until September 1st, but if she doesn't settle her taxes by then, the authorities will be forced to seize her house. In the past, Maddie has always relied on her Uber job during the tourist season, but now, without a car, she doubts she'll be able to earn the necessary amount in time. Later at work, Maddie discusses her dire situation with her friends. Sitting around a table, they browse through classified ads for used cars and come across one that's particularly unusual. Wealthy parents are looking for an attractive young woman to date their shy 19-year-old son, and ideally to make him a man before he heads off to college. In return, they're offering a decent used car, free of charge.
It's gotta be a joke, right?
Just say early to mid-20s, though.
That's okay, I can pass for that.
When Maddie gets home, she can't stop thinking about the strange offer. The next day, she decides to go for the interview with the wealthy parents. Dressed to impress, she arrives at the address, where the promised car is parked right out front. Initially, parents are skeptical about Maddie. Due to her revealing outfit, they mistake her for a sex worker. And when they discover her real age, they almost turn her away. But Maddie quickly convinces them she's exactly what they're looking for. Despite her age, she looks young enough to fit the part perfectly. As the conversation continues, the parents start describing their son. Percy is an incredibly sensitive young man who struggles with social interactions, especially with girls. He's very introverted and spends most of his time in his room. Percy has a great singing voice, but is too scared to perform in front of an audience. He doesn't attend parties, doesn't drink, and doesn't drive. His parents are worried that he won't be able to cope on his own in college. Maddie's task is to help Percy come out of his shell and turn him into a real man before he leaves for Princeton. However, Percy must never find out about this arrangement. During his summer break, the guy volunteers at a local animal shelter. His parents suggest this as the perfect place for their first meeting.
Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Maddie pretends to be interested in adopting a dog and uses this as a pretext to strike up a conversation. We see that Percy is indeed very uncomfortable around an attractive woman. He doesn't respond to her obvious flirting and completely misses her hints. Seeing this, Maddie decides to take a more direct approach. She grabs Percy's backpack and asks to drive him home, borrowing a van from her friends for the occasion.
This isn't the way to my house.
It's a shortcut.
Seeing all the dangerous-looking equipment in the van, Percy starts to suspect that Maddie might be a crazy person planning to kidnap him. When they arrive at Girl's house, Percy panics and sprays her with pepper spray as soon as the van stops.
You tried kidnapping me!
Hey, you're 19. Grow up.
In this ridiculous situation, Maddie explains that she simply finds him very attractive. Calming down, Percy suggests they have a proper date the next evening. Next day, they meet at a local bar. Maddie plans to loosen Percy up by getting him to drink, but since the guy has never been to a bar before, he behaves very cautiously and remains uptight. At one point, a pop song about a man-eater who preys on young men starts playing. Percy admits that he was terrified of this song as a child because he thought it was about a real monster. Maddie reassures him that the song isn't about that at all. Realizing her plan isn't working, Maddie suggests they change the scene and takes him to an empty beach. Alone together, she quickly comes up with a new plan. She strips down in front of him and suggests they go skinny dipping.
What about sharks?
Men here!
I'm going to trust you.
Just then, a group of drunk teenagers arrives at the beach. Seeing our characters' vulnerability, they start mocking them, then steal their clothes and walk away. Percy suggests they report the incident to the adults, but Maddie reminds him that they are the adults. She then storms out onto the beach, completely naked, and forcibly takes back all their stolen clothes from the teenagers.
Where were we?
I heard screaming.
Why was the apologizing?
Acting as if nothing happened, Maddie suggests they make love. However, Percy firmly declines. This refusal is the final straw for girls. She tells Percy exactly what she thinks of him and storms off to her car, which she had borrowed from her boss this time. The guy asks Maddie for phone so he can call his parents, but she refuses, telling him it's time he learned to solve his own problems. As she drive, Percy jumps onto the hood of the car, continuing to demand the phone. The two of them speed down the road like this until a police patrol notices them. This stunt could cost Maddie her driver's license, so she refuses to pull over. Fortunately, she manages to evade the cops by using a railroad crossing to her advantage. After the adrenaline rush, our characters make up and head back to Maddie's place together. Creating a cozy atmosphere, Girl once again tries to seduce Percy, eager to finally get the promised car. But during this attempt, the two of them engage in their first real heart-to-heart conversation. It becomes clear that for Maddie, emotions have never played a significant role in her relationships. She's always dumped her boyfriends as soon as they started getting attached. Percy, on the other hand, is a true romantic. He doesn't want to make love to someone until he gets to know them on a deeper, more emotional level.
Maybe we could spend the day together tomorrow.
Sounds nice.
Next day, the couple have a blast together. They start morning by walking dogs from the shelter, and later, they enjoy themselves at an amusement park. As the day goes on, Maddie opens up to Percy, sharing more about her life. She reveals that when she was a child, her father abandoned her and her mother, leaving them with nothing but a house and a small amount of money. Throughout her school years, she held out hope of reconnecting with him and even sent him a letter. But on the day of her graduation, the letter was returned unopened, causing her to cry all day and miss her prom. The house is the only thing she has left after her mother's death, and she treasures it deeply, which is why she doesn't want to move. After hearing this, Percy kisses the girl for the first time. Later, the guy arranges a prom-themed date for Maddie, complete with formal attire and a luxurious limousine. While sitting in the restaurant, he confesses that he also missed his own prom because he was too shy to ask anyone out. Hearing this, Maddie convinces him to play the piano that's in the center of the room, hoping to boost his confidence. Overcoming his fears, Percy unexpectedly starts singing the creepy song from the bar, and he nails it.
That was unbelievable.
Percy!
Natalie! Oh my God!
One of Percy's old classmates happens to be at the restaurant too. She approaches him and invites him to a party celebrating their upcoming college enrollment. Back at the table, Percy shares his plans for the future with Maddie. Despite his college commitment, he suggests they see each other on weekends, taking turns visiting one another. But Maddie makes it clear that she's not ready to move, breaking Percy's heart with her refusal. Back in the limo, Guy gets drunk for the first time and insists the driver take them to the college party his classmate mentioned. Maddie ends up playing babysitter for Percy. Once they arrive at the house, she searches everywhere for him, and when she finally finds him, she tries to sober him up as quickly as possible. The parents of the student hosting the party suddenly appear in the room and start kicking them both out. On the way home, Percy confesses his love to Maddie and suggests they finally make love. But this time, Girl is the one who refuses. She doesn't want his first time to happen in such an environment, especially while he's drunk. The next day, Percy's parents notice a significant change in him. It turns out he recently met an incredible girl. She's a bit older than him, but that doesn't matter at all. Percy also mentions that he plans to get his driver's license soon, so it'll be easier to visit her. However, there's one small catch. He's decided not to go to college anymore because Maddie doesn't like moving, so he'll have to stay in Montauk with her. After hearing this, parents call Maddie, begging her to convince their son to go to college, offering the car in return. At that moment, Percy is sitting in his father's Tesla and accidentally overhears the conversation.
I don't have to have sex with him anymore?
Learning about his parents' plan, Guy arranges a surprise meeting with Maddie, supposedly for introductions, while secretly smashing the car they promised her. Back at the house, Percy gives Maddie one last chance to come clean, but she remains silent, still focused on her goal of getting the coveted car. Disappointed, Percy reveals everything, leading to a heated argument between them. In the next scene, the tow truck driver returns Maddie's wrecked car and tells her that it's still drivable. From that moment on, Girl starts driving for Uber again and picks up weekend shifts at the bar. By the end of the summer, she finally manages to save up the money she needs. One day, while cleaning her house, Maddie stumbles upon that old letter addressed to her father. This discovery prompts her to make a drastic change in her life. She repairs her car, puts her house up for sale, and seeks out Percy to make amends. During this process, it's her turn to end up on the hood of his car, causing it to roll into the sea. Sitting on the beach, our characters finally reconcile. Their relationship helped both of them grow up, not just Percy, but Maddie too. She had spent her whole life waiting for her father to come back, afraid to make any major decisions on her own. The two agree to be best friends and are confident that everything will be okay. At the end of the movie, Percy says goodbye to his parents, while Maddie hands the keys to her house over to her friends. She decides to move to California. On the way, Girl picks up a friend, and together, they set off for a new life.
You ready to leave?
Are you?
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone who watched until the end. On this channel, you can always find retellings of good movies,